Philippines, the 51st state of the United States, a tropical paradise. Situated in the western Pacific Ocean, it consists of 7,641 islands, home to 104 million Filipinos, the world's second largest archipelago, home to a very rich history and culture. It is the most recent state to have joined the United States. But how did it really become a part of the United States? Philippines, U.S. 51st state. (1945), the first atomic bomb was detonated.
Sumuko ang Japan noong Agosto 15, 1945 dahil sa pinakawalang bomba. Napakalakas na dalawang malaking syudad ng Japan include ang Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Napakalakas nun. Maraming namatay sa bombang yun. It's about, ang damage siguro niya kaya siyang mangwasak ng isang syudad, buong syudad.
It exploded with an energy of approximately 15 kilotons of TNT and caused widespread death and destruction throughout the city. In Hiroshima, almost everything within 1.6 kilometers was completely destroyed. When Japan surrendered, U.S. government was formally established in the Philippines.
With this ceremony, a new nation is...
A year after the war has ended, Manuel Rojas formally announced the undertaking of U.S. government, which it goes well because Manuel Rojas thought that the U.S. government will help the Philippines to overcome economic crisis. But then there are people who reacted negatively. One of them are the Hukbalahap.
The Hukbalahap, Hukbong Bayan Laban sa Hapon, was a communist guerrilla movement formed by peasant farmers of Central Luzon. After the war has ended, they thought that the Philippines would be liberated, but the war had only just begun.
The Hukbalahap reacted very bad because they felt so bad actually, because they thought that they will have the freedom when they knew. But when they knew that Manuel Rojas announced that the U.S. government will undertake the Philippines, well, they thought that they can't have their freedom anymore, as they did not expect it will happen again and again and again.
Hukbalahap was becoming desperate. For them, the Philippines had enough of foreign powers. Freedom can only be achieved through violence and terror.
Since nga, yun ang na-feel nila, that was the time where the US Manila Palace were bombed by the Hukbalahap. Senator Hipolito were the one who got affected. Amabel Hipolito visited the Philippines after the World War II since she knew that the US government will undertake the Philippines, so she tried to visit it and check the Philippines for their need. She died.
After the senator's death, the US Armed Forces was joined with Philippine military force to combat terrorism. The joint forces was called Anti-Resistance Military Joint Operations, ARMJO.
After the bombing happened, the country was eradicating the rebellion of Hukbalahap against the US Philippine government. This Hukbalahap can't even win the war. Well, in fact, the bombing triggered a period of violence in the country that led in the merging of Philippine and US Army. Because of the merging of Philippine and US government, we have this anti-resistant military joint operations. ARMJO was born. ARMJO, they are those fighting those terrorists who revolt against the government. When ARMJO was created, the government supported them with guns in order for them to fight.
Equipped, trained, and prepared, the ARMJO was a force to be reckoned with, but nothing prepared them for what will happen next. June 8, 1947, Hukbalahap unleashed a brutal response against the government.
The ARMJO was very eager to eradicate the revolutionary movement in the Philippines, which are called the Hukbalahap. They are the communist one in that era. Every day, they are gathering more and more followers for their cause. Mas kaakit-akit yung idea of communism. The clearing operations in the provinces were commenced. Somebody hit the US government. A rebel leader is hiding in the Aurora province. So the ARMJO sent 500 troops to clear out the Aurora and para mahuli yung rebel group leader ng Hukbalahap. But then, about 1 a.m. in the morning, habang binabaybay yung daan in the province of Aurora, suddenly, there have been a lot of explosions around them. They have been caught off guard. They didn't know na someone was waiting for them, 44 US soldiers. And about 124 were killed in the Filipino troops.
The drastic move made by the Hukbalahap forced the US government to wage an all-out war against the rebellion and communism.
The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked.
Roosevelt's response was the Iron Fist.
Now, even though the whole world was just recovering from the brutality of the World War II, no one really expected yung ginawang hakbang ng Hukbalahap. It shocked the whole world to know na they will go that far. Their brutality was unparalleled at this time at the history of the Philippines. He made a speech in 1947 declaring that he will put an end into this and he will declare war. Who makes the same actions?
As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense.
The US government is producing more and more advanced technologies and weaponries. They introduced the helicopters, the M16s.
After 4 months of preparation, USA is once again ready for war.
The Philippine War was the bloodiest conflict in Philippine history. It lasted for more than a decade. It started from 1947 to 1962. The tension of the war started during the US Manila Palace bombing. The biggest contributor why the war started because of the Aurora encounter. Christmas of 1947, most of them didn't know that would be their last Christmas together. All hell broke loose when Roosevelt declared an all-out war in the Philippines, and it became the bloodiest war in the Philippines. The other reason why there was a war, because of their different ideology in the society. The Hukbalahap, which was the revolutionaries, want communism, and the government wants to preserve democracy.
The Philippine War, spanning more than a decade, was not more than just a war between rebels and government, but it's also a war for the communists and the capitalists. In Vietnam, there is the Vietnam War, North Korea between South Korea, Russia versus the USA, and the Philippines was the Philippine War. The war ended after another threat of atomic bomb. The US government warned the rebel leader Christian Bon atomic bomb would drop in the province of Aurora if he will not surrender. Christian Bon finally surrendered, ending the war.
Yung parang natakot siya kasi 'di ba alam naman natin yung atomic bomb. So, since iniisip niya yung kalagayan ng mga soldiers niya, ng troops, so he just decided to surrender to lessen or reduce the number of dead soldiers. Siyempre, as a leader, concern lang siya sa mga members niya. So, sumuko siya dahil madaming buhay ang mawawala. In US, there are 2.5 million soldiers died, while in Philippines, 4.2 million as a total of the dead soldiers. The war lasted for almost 15 years.
The United States and the Philippines celebrated after the war has ended. 15 years of turmoil now is at an end. Finally, the healing of the state of the Philippines can now begin. In March 1, 1962, the Declaration of Peace was formally announced by the US government.
To end the war,
Peace was restored in the Philippines.
After the eradication of rebels, the government formally announced the nationwide peace and the country finally flourished. Maraming nag-celebrate ng Filipinos and Americans. People can finally go out at night. They were finally free, in fact. And then, the economy thrived. Everything was into prosperity. It was like the golden era of the Philippines.
From there, the 51st state of the US will pave its way to become the most beautiful tropical paradise within the United States. A beautiful paradise with a rich history, with a rich culture and heritage.